This is the death of the young brother, the Aboriginal brother, Elijah McClain. His death will not go in vain, and justice will be served for the young brother. It is uncalled for. We tired of losing our children to senseless things that's caused by the police.
democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Nermeen Sheikh. We look now at a major development in the movement for police accountability. In Colorado, 3 police officers and 2 paramedics have been criminally charged in the death of 23-year-old Elijah McClain that prompted nationwide protests. Elijah McClain was a young black man walking home from a store in the Denver suburb of Aurora in August 2019. He'd bought some iced tea when someone called 911 to report a person looking weird, although he was not suspected of a crime. The 3 Aurora police officers who answered the call tackled McClain to the ground and placed him in a chokehold as he pleaded for his life. A warning to our viewers and listeners, this footage is extremely graphic.
In the ground.
Oh, but it was Elijah McClain.
Yeah, but I mean, he's carotid.
That's what I was doing. I was just going home. I'm an introvert and I'm different.
Come out?
No.
Was he out?
Yeah.
I heard you snoring.
I just don't like
completely.
going home.
Consciousness.
I'm just different. I'm just different. That's all. That's all I was doing.
It was actually Rosenberg.
I'm so sorry.
You're done, dude.
I have no gun.
That's why I tried karate.
I don't do that stuff. I don't do any fighting.
Other units that are not here.
Why were you telling me? I don't lose guns. I don't even kill flies. I don't eat meat. I'm not a vegetarian. I don't judge people.
No, I mean,
I don't eat flies. I don't eat meat. I'm a vegetarian. I don't kill flies, he said. And before that, if you could hear Elijah saying, I was just going home. I'm an introvert. I'm different. I was just going home. I'm different. That's all I was doing. I'm so sorry. I have no gun. I don't do that stuff. I don't do any fighting. Why are you taking me? He said. That's the police body camera footage of officers tackling and arresting Elijah as he walked home August 2019. Medical responders who arrived then injected Elijah with a large amount of the powerful sedative ketamine, enough to sedate a large 200-pound man, even though Elijah was just 5'6" and under 140 pounds. He suffered cardiac arrest on the way to the hospital and died several days later. This is Colorado Attorney General Philip Weiser speaking Wednesday after announcing the charges against those involved in Elijah's death.
Late last Thursday, after careful and thoughtful deliberation, I think most of you are familiar with Elijah McClain's story. He died following a physical encounter with Aurora police officers and Aurora Fire Rescue paramedics the night of August 24th, 2019. In June 2020, by executive order, the governor appointed me to act as the state's prosecutor, investigate, and if the evidence permits, prosecute potential criminal activity by individuals who caused the death of Elijah McClain. Our department did not seek this investigation. After we were appointed to take on the important responsibility, we took it very seriously. At the time, I said our investigation would be guided by a commitment to the facts, by thorough and diligent work, and would be worthy of public trust and confidence in our criminal justice system. These remain our guiding principles for this matter. As you know, there was an initial investigation into Mr. McClain's death, which was limited. Our department had the option merely to review the record of that effort or undertake additional fact-finding to inquire further into the events surrounding Mr. McClain's death. We decided to take the latter course because whenever a person dies after an encounter with law enforcement, the community deserves a thorough investigation. Mr. McClain's family deserves it, and justice requires it. As our department conducted its work, it became clear that we needed the grand jury and its enhanced investigative powers to obtain documents and compel testimony from witnesses that would otherwise we'd not be able to obtain using ordinary investigative techniques. Over the last year, our team faced considerable challenges because the statewide grand jury didn't meet for a lengthy period of time on account of the COVID-19 pandemic. In December 2020, we were finally able to engage the statewide grand jury to investigate Mr. McClain's death. On January 8th, 2021, my department announced that we had opened this grand jury investigation. That process continued until last Thursday, when the grand jury concluded its work and returned its findings. We are announcing the grand jury's findings made last week today because we needed time to contact Mr. McClain's family, his mother, Shanine McClain, and father, Luane Mosley, and to contact those under investigation for their actions. At the outset, a few points about the statewide grand jury process bear mention. First, a grand jury is made up of impartial citizens who are called from the community to serve. The grand jury is a core part of our criminal justice system. The citizens who participate in this undertaking take their roles and responsibilities very seriously. Those who serve on the statewide grand jury not only are serious and diligent in their work, but they also invest considerable time and effort to serve the public. They deserve our gratitude for their work. Second, under state law, grand jury activities and materials must be kept confidential. What can be disclosed and what I will share today are the relevant facts and circumstances that we are authorized to share. We recognize that many people, including Mr. McClain's family, concerned citizens, members of the media, and others, have had many questions regarding this grand jury process and its activities. Over the course of the process, we had, and we continue to have, a legal and ethical obligation to maintain the confidentiality and integrity of this investigation. We appreciate the public's patience as we conducted and continue to conduct our work. Late last Thursday, after careful and thoughtful deliberation, the grand jury returned a 32-count indictment against Aurora police officers Randy Rodema and Nathan Woodyard, former Aurora police officer Jason Rosenblatt, and Aurora Fire Rescue paramedics Jeremy Cooper and Peter Chikuniak for their alleged conduct on the night of August 24th, 2019, that resulted in the death of Mr. McClain. Each of the 5 defendants face 1 count of manslaughter and 1 count of criminally negligent homicide. Officers Rodema and Rosenblatt also face, each of them, a count of second-degree assault with intent to cause bodily injury and caused serious bodily injury to Mr. McClain. Both also face 1 count of a crime of violence related to the second-degree assault bodily injury charge. In addition to the manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide charges, paramedics Cooper and Chikuniak also face 1 count second-degree assault with intent to cause bodily injury and caused bodily injury, 1 count second-degree assault for recklessly causing serious bodily injury by means of a deadly weapon, ketamine, 1 count second-degree assault for a purpose other than lawful medical or therapeutic treatment, intentionally causing stupor, unconsciousness, or other physical or mental impairment or injury to Mr. McClain by administering a drug, ketamine, without consent. Cooper and Chikuniak also face 2 counts of crimes of violence for each of the assault charges. At this moment, my department is filing the indictment in Adams County District Court. The indictment will be unsealed. It is important to remind everyone that a grand jury indictment is a formal accusation based on a determination of probable cause that an individual committed a crime under Colorado law. All defendants are presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Our department has the solemn duty to prosecute this case. Make no mistake, we recognize that this case will be difficult to prosecute. These types of cases always are. Our goal is to seek justice for Elijah McClain, for his family and friends, and for our state. In so doing, we advance the rule of law and the commitment that everyone is accountable and equal under the law. Many of you will have questions as this case proceeds. We understand that, and we want you to understand that we are limited in what we can say and will do our talking in court. We thank you in advance for your patience as this case goes forward. I want to thank the statewide grand jury for their service. I want to thank our team, our prosecutors, our investigators, and all staff members who worked hard on this case for over a year and will continue to do so. We're here today because Elijah McClain is not here, and he should be. He was a son, a nephew, a brother, and a friend. When he died, he was only 23 years old. He had his whole life ahead of him. And his family and his friends must now go on and live without him. His death is a loss to all of us. Elijah McClain's memory will live on as a blessing to all of us. After his death, Colorado continues to lead on law enforcement accountability. And in a separate civil investigation, my department is looking into whether the city of Aurora, specifically Aurora Fire and Aurora Police, have a pattern and practice of violating the civil rights of their community members. That matter is still ongoing. We will announce our findings when that investigation comes to a close. By working to build trust in law enforcement and working to elevate what safe and effective policing looks like, we will advance public safety, and we will honor the profession's commitment to serve all Coloradans